What's up, what's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we discuss the art, science, and business of comedy with comedians and comedian adjacent. With this episode's guest, Glen Dunzweiler. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, Certified Forensic Humourist and host of Done Way Past Funny. Thank you for joining us as we continue our interview with comedian adjacent Glen Dunzweiler. Enjoy. Now, we were talking about the sustainable business models. You do a couple of things. Or one of your passions, I'm going to say, is basically trying to find, I can't say a solution to homelessness, but at least to make it more, I guess, remove some of the stigma for homelessness, I guess. I mean, you can explain it better, what it is you're doing with homelessness.
Yeah.
But
any successes are better than what we're doing now. So I've been working on trying to change hearts and minds and viewpoints on people that we deem as disposable.
Right.
And I've been working on that since 2010, started with a documentary on homelessness across the US called Why Homeless on Amazon. And it really focused on who's out there and why. And then once I did that and answered some questions people had after they watched the documentary by writing my first book, Things I've Learned from the Homeless, I started to really focus on solutions. Like okay, this is why they're out there, but really what can we do? Because we're just always banging our heads up against the same problems. I've been working at this since 2010. So my second book was entrepreneurial skills for students, because we were setting students up to fail. We were sending them to high-priced education and not promising that they could pay that education back or make a living after getting that education. So that I felt getting students entrepreneurial skills would be very important. So that was my second book, called A Degree in Homelessness, ? And then started to really writing articles and blog posts, looking at what we're doing now. And for the past 10 years in homelessness, we started selling this, trying to make the world softer. We started selling this housing first and harm reduction. So we're taking all of this public money and we're dumping it into nonprofits and other public programs, and we're not seeing any results. So we've still got massive mental illness, massive homeless, massive drug addiction, and the public is getting angry. And I started to see a wave of, these people are calling for the return of insane asylums and internment camps. And I really just started to think, well, okay, guys, if we're going to do this, this is what it's going to look like, or this is what it could look like. And that's my last book, is The Moralists, and it's a fiction, and it's a thought experiment. If we did this, then this would probably happen. And I'm just working through the logic of what humans do and what decisions humans have made and why. And in the book, I start making hard decisions like, okay, if you can't or won't be a productive member of society, what happens to you? Something's got to happen to you. We're not going to ignore you anymore, because that's what we do. We just ignore people that have drug addiction or mental illness problems, or just refuse to not get a job to pay for rent, because that's what we've accepted as the thing you need to do. You need to get a job to pay for rent. That is the United States thing. And I just started forcing the story and making the moralists and a faction of the moralists. The moralists have their moral tenets that are all good. It's like think of it as a religion, or think of it as like the moral police. of a country that everything sounds good, but then there's a faction inside the moralists called clean sweep, and they start doing things like the moral police, where you see people, you hear stories of women are beaten for not having their heads covered, things like
Right.
that. But we do it secularly over here. Okay, if you're not going to get a job, or if you're depressed, what would be a solution? Okay, we're gonna get rich benefactors. We're gonna have an island, and we're gonna put people on this island to rehabilitate, and we're gonna put resources towards that. But what if they don't get better? Like, how long do we give them? And in the book, I say, okay, well, let's give them a year. What do they do after a year? It's a good question. And then you're thinking, okay, do we just let them go? Is it catch and release, or do we say your life isn't worth living? And do we kill people? And in the book, the moralists, a faction of this moralist, their answer is after a year, and they don't think the panel doesn't think that you're going to ever get better. Your life is done. And then they have people that have professionally killed for governments
Right.
that are part of the moralists. Those are like the assassins. What does that look like? And in the book, even I have the assassin who's doing, only so many people can professionally kill. Right?
Yeah,
That's the thing.
you have to have
That's a skill set.
yeah.
And then that assassin at the end of the book, the only thing he has, the only value he has is killing people, and that's not enough. He starts to get really depressed. He's like, this is not a life to live.
Tell me that he becomes homeless at the end. No, I'm just teasing. No.
Yeah. I mean, it's what happens is he ends up going to SAD camp. He goes to the camp that everyone that was homeless gets shipped to, because he's like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? And so the moralist book is really an opportunity for me to take and force the hand of people where we have not, we don't know what to do. We love to throw our hands up and blame people. Like,
Right.
I don't know, but these homeless people, or I don't know, but these drug addicts. Well, then what? Well, then what? And the moralist does that. And I try to keep it as well. It is entertaining, but it has all the trigger warnings, because I'm dealing with stuff what I found is, in order to have the socialist utopia, you have to become a fascist at some point.
Right.
And just start making decisions for people. And so that's kind of my passion. And I'm trying to, the book is for sale now. That may be sustainable if ever I can become a hot commodity as an author and make money on book sales while I try to solve homelessness and do Frank and build an audience for Frank. And I'm always, that entrepreneurial spirit is in me, but it's all based on the things that I create and trying to make sure they have value for people in our community, so they're willing to pay for it. Right. Because I can't sustain myself unless people are willing to pay for it. One of the funny things about Frank, because I'm keeping costs down, I'll four-wall the thing, but then I run the whole thing. I don't have money to hire employees.
Right.
I have a production background, so I can make it run by myself. It runs smoothly for a one-person show. But what I found is, on ticket sales, if you don't buy online, I have no option for you at the door. Right. But in LA, man, everyone is non-committal because there's so much going on.
Right.
They don't even buy online. So every show, I just have people bum rushing the show. And, hey, it's no rules. I'm just happy they're there, and so I'm just burning the money and not earning it back. And just so appreciative that some people find it valuable enough to spend an hour and a half with me and these other storytellers.
I think I may have a solution for you.
Yeah.
At the show, because I don't know if the performers are paid or anything like that. That's none of my business. But I'm thinking the last one who goes up really doesn't have anything to do for the first hour or so. And most people who are going to be there within the first hour. So have them work the door with the phone and one of those little. I have a square device. You know, you attach it to my phone. You can swipe and have them take the money. And if you know, they could do it for like an extra few minutes of time, or maybe whatever, you know, a little stipend or something.
Yeah.
Because
it's a good idea.
That's what I do. That's all I do is think of ideas that don't cost me anything. No,
it's true. You know, I mean, so every time I mount Frank for one reason or another, because every venue is different and has different demands, if I put a cap of $700 that I put out to produce the show, and it kind of, I don't want to run to $700, but I inevitably end up, it costs me about $700 every time I produce the show. Now, do I make that back? Not yet.
Not same here. Not yet.
But
Terrible
people know what
model.
Frank is, and Frank makes people happy. So I keep going. And every show I've ever had, people are so appreciative of it. They come up to it. They don't know what it is. They kind of heard from it. Someone told them, their friend said they're going to be in it. And then they come up and they're just so grateful because I'm easy like Sunday morning, right? I mean, I'm bombastic, but I'm so easy to be with, and we're just making this thing work together. And I really have that sense of community, and I bring that, and they're so appreciative of that. So at some point, if I can keep that ease with making it sustainable, with, you know, it's that what is your sales funnel, right? You want your sales funnel to be easy. You want to take away as much friction as possible. And right now I don't have friction, but I also don't have people paying me money. So,
Now, because when we're talking about homelessness, I think one of the problems with homelessness is the fact that we don't have a prevention model. We have a profit model once it occurs. And I say a profit model because even the quote nonprofits are making money off of homelessness. Rather than for us to, you told the story in your TEDx talk about you bought a home, I think in 2008, right?
2006.
2006, you bought the home. 2008, you started another job, and then you find out that you're going to lose that job, and so you reach out to the mortgage company and say, "Look, in 5 months, I'm not going to be able to pay," and they're going like, "Well, we'll talk to you in 5 months." So, as opposed to like, okay, because I've been there when you know I was injured on the job, and the money that they pay you when you're disabled, when you're out of work, I forgot what it's called
now.
Disability. My disability was less than what I was making because the insurance company was supposed to make up the difference, and they were blackballed. They were stonewalling me. They kept saying the check is in the mail. The check is in the mail. In the meantime, my savings is running out in order for me to offset the difference. And so I know when I'm going to run out of money. So I reach out to everybody. I reach out to the credit card companies. I reach out to my my car, because I had a car note, mortgage companies. Now, the credit card company, they had this thing where if you let us know, because I had automatic withdrawal or automatic payments. And I called them and said, "Look, I need you to not take the money out this month." I said, "I'm going to be late. I'm running." I said, I'm on disability. The insurance company has assured me that the check is on the way. It hasn't come, but if it doesn't, I don't want to get jammed up. And the credit card company, I'm not going to mention Discover by name or Citibank by name because that would be wrong. But they said, "Don't worry, we won't do it. We won't take it out." And they took it out anyway.
Yeah.
And I went, son of a bitch. And then the next month, and I called them and said, "You said you weren't going to do it." I said, "I'm about to bounce checks here." I said, "Look, I have to have my car so I can go to work. I have to have my house so that I can, that's all I can afford right now." I said, I'm trying to make agreements, make arrangements with you guys. And you guys, before I got the credit card, you were all sunshine. "Oh, yes, we have this program." And then, okay, that was our fault. We'll stop. And the next month they did it again.
Yeah.
And I was and the worst part of all was that I finally got a third party involved to try to negotiate. All I wanted them to do was to negotiate a lesser payment, not no payment. And they started playing hardball. They started raising. I said I want to negotiate a lesser payment, so they raised my minimum payment. Raised it. When I said I want less, they raised it. Eventually, what they did was they really screwed me over. They decided to forgive the whole debt, and they didn't tell me until like January. I'd already done my taxes, and so they told me about it January. They forgave it in December, so now I was on the hook for like $30,000 worth of forgiveness, which I never even asked for. I didn't ask for forgiveness. I asked for a lower payment. I wanted to pay my debt.
Yep.
Now I was fortunate that I did not wind up in that regard, in homeless. But all these things can be prevented. But the bank was still rewarded. The credit, Citibank and Discover, they were rewarded for their misbehavior. Bank of America, they were rewarded.
Right.
They didn't lose anything, but they could have prevented or helped to prevent homelessness, and they don't.
No, that is not their job. Their job.
And I apologize for going on the tirade
No,
because this is supposed to be about you, and I made it about me. But
no, I've been there. I've done that. This country is about making money, not having ethics.
yes,
And if people can get your money, they will. And
yes,
if they can get your bank account, they will withdraw your money. And if they can get a signature that allows them to withdraw your money, they will take however much they can. It just becomes a game. And what I had to realize, and it broke me, was the world that my grandfather told me I needed to live in with ethics is not the world that people with money live.
no, they don't.
It's not, those are two separate things. And in fact, they will use the lessons from my grandfather against me,
Yes,
so that they can earn more money from me. When we were foreclosing on our house, we had to do a short sale. So everything was shorted, and you have realtors that are strong arming
yes,
the banks that are the lenders. And we had maybe 2 years before we had a short sale, had a new HVAC system put in, which was $13,000 or something.
wow. Ooh.
And I was beside myself that we had to pay off this loan, even though we were short selling the house. And I said, I can't take the HVAC system with me. I can't sell it, yet I still owe this debt. And I still wanted to pay that debt because I had bought it, right? My loss, you're supposed to be an upstanding citizen and be responsible, like my grandfather taught me. And the realtor said, no, just walk away from it. They have and what he told me is in the loan, I was paying a line item for insurance just in case I defaulted on that loan. So they had the lender had insurance against me to make sure that they would still get paid even if I stopped paying them.
Right.
But
we could never have that. We could not have an insurance policy like that.
That's the American way. If you can get away with it, do it. And unfortunately, and we're kind of, it's biting us. We're definitely seeing the cracks in the system and how they don't fulfill what needs to happen. But I think the goal is to realize that and realize that people will take advantage of you. Know how to stop them, but also don't take advantage of people.
Right.
That's the next point, because you may find yourself in a position where you can take advantage of people, and it would be easier to take advantage of people, and you could get paid taking advantage of people.
And that happens matter of fact, that happens because it's called Done Way Past Funny and we talk about comedy. That happens in the comedy world. Comedians themselves are so desperate for stage time that quite often they are getting screwed, out of their talent. They give okay, I understand the purpose of open mics. We need to practice somewhere. For the most part, I practice at home. Okay. Because I'm a storyteller. I'm a long form storyteller for the most part. My stuff doesn't work well at a 5-minute mic or a 7-minute mic because it's a story. It's not, it doesn't. I wind up being 3/4 of the way through a story and I have to stop because I'm out of time, or I chop up the story so much, that's so. But people need to practice. Meantime, so you get like 5-10 comedians practicing at a bar. People come to see them. They're buying drinks. The comedians are buying drinks. The comedians are actually losing money as they practice because they're buying drinks and food. The ones that are supporting it, because some comedians show up, don't eat, don't drink, they do their time and leave. But then there are those of us who spend like $25 or something, whatever, and we're losing money every time we do it. Sometimes the hosts usually get paid or compensated, but not all the talent. And
Right.
Comedians do this every, single time that they do an open mic.
Right. Yeah, it's hard because you think of the Futurama bit, "Take my money."
I don't.
Okay, so in Futurama, there was this.
I've never seen Futurama.
It's fine. So there's this meme where someone is not wanting to sell something, and this guy Fry just says, "Take my money," because he wants the product, right?
Mhm.
If consumers want the product enough, they'll pay for it. And I always would say, well, you don't go into Target expecting to steal stuff. You expect to pay for a product.
Right.
Why do you expect to get your music for free?
Right.
Because we've trained the public to get certain things for free, and the public will get what they can for free. Why is it? Well, I was hemming and hawing about, well, maybe, it's worth $20, but that's an expensive book for people. That's a $20 book. Yet I could sell a t-shirt for $30, no problem.
Yeah.
Because people just expect, a t-shirt is worth $30. A book,
yeah,
$5. What?
Yeah.
So you have to train your audience to see the value. Why my business coach taught a lot of other coaches, and he would say, what you want is rich clientele, because rich clientele just expect to pay good money, a lot of money for good things.
Right.
You don't want, even though you want to serve your common man is scrounging for everything. So $100 ticket to your event is something that they can't afford, but $1,000 ticket to a rich person is nothing. And then that's $1,000 in your pocket. So you have to figure out what your value is and how you can best convey that. And you have to find your audience who would want to pay that, and you think of the top comedians, you think of people, why would people want to go out and see you? Well, there's visibility, there's recognition. I was on Seinfeld going way back, or whatever it is. Oh, that guy was on Seinfeld, or that guy was on this show, or that gal was on this. One of my favorite comedians, Maria Bamford.
Yeah.
She just did.
She was on Colbert Show. Well,
yeah,
for us last night or night before last.
So every time she does something higher visibility, I remember her talking. She was first really known for a Target commercial. Right. She was the Target lady, right? Not her stand-up, but once she became the target lady, all of a sudden people were willing to pay money to see her. And so you're looking for that signifier in your audience, in your clientele, in your in your customers, for what tells them you have value. And I think
Right.
for every comedian that's different, and for every situation that's different. I know a lot of storytellers in LA, they don't make money storytelling, but they make money on um, on classes teaching storytelling, because that's just where people want to spend their money,
Right.
and that's how they make a living. You can get some extra income teaching comedy. You can get some extra income teaching your experience in comedy. This is where to go. This is not where to go. Look out for this house manager, you know,
Right.
look out for this person. That's valuable to people. And you just have to learn. It's all that marketing stuff, which usually artists don't want to be good at and don't want to do.
Or yeah,
And
and because it's for the most part, and this is something I'm trying to unlearn about myself, because by nature I'm a creative, and also by nature I'm a problem solver, but I have yet to solve the problem of me making money, and part of that is because uh, I know in my heart what I do. I do it out of love, and also because I can't help myself. If I did not have a stage to perform on, I would still be performing in a supermarket in line. I would still be performing in line at a bank. I'd be performing at a traffic stop, because
right,
that's unfortunately that's what I am. I am a performer. So to me, that's just who I am. And for me to charge exorbitant amount of money to people who are likely to see me who can't afford it is ridiculous. But on the other hand, I will I will compare. I will. People. A lot of people will say, "Well, if he's only charging $15 for a ticket, it can't be worth that much."
yeah,
And that's where people are, like, quite often are just plain wrong, because if in my marketplace, okay, I'm a fairly I'm a fairly entertaining guy. I'm a fairly decent comedian. I'm not I'm not the classic. I'm not up there. I'm not like a big name, but I would put myself up against them. I mean, but that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to make is people look at something, and just because it could be, if Porsches sold for $50,000, people probably wouldn't buy a Porsche for $50,000. $100,000 for a Porsche, hell yeah. But the
right,
same Porsche for 50,000 is like, well, what's wrong with it?
right,
Unless you already now, but if you can afford $100,000 Porsche, then to you, you're just saving $50,000.
right.
There's
Yeah,
just people have a really fucked up way of looking at value.
yeah, and we train them that way, and people that are good at sales train people that way and can get people to pay stuff. Uh, I I went with a PR company, and they were really good, but their sales funnel was a little too slick. And so what I thought I was paying for them to place me per article, all of a sudden it was a 2 article minimum. So it doubled the cost of what it costs for me to use them. And in their sales pitch, it did not sound like it was a 2 article minimum, like a 2 drink minimum
Right. Yeah.
in a in a comedy club. And I raked them over the coals and I said, "Look, you did great work, but I don't find you having too much integrity. I think your sales funnel is a little too slick. I think things are it's a little too easy to take my money. And I understand you need money to make the world go around,
Right.
but you're kind of bait and switching me." And we have a comedy club here in LA, in Burbank specifically, that will give you a free show. Come see a free show, but it's a 2-drink minimum or a 2-item minimum,
Yeah.
and the items are inflated, and there's a tip. So really, it's $50 per person every time you go. Just spend that, and that's if you get a free ticket, because some of the tickets cost. And I think that's not genuine. I think that's disingenuous a little bit. So I try not, other than my friends, when they go to the comedy clubs, I'll budget it because I know how much it costs to go to this club. But I try not to, because I want to. Well, at Frank, bottled water is not expensive, but bottled water is a markup opportunity
Right.
for an event. It just doesn't seem right to me. So at my events, my water's free. You come, I have special branded, I put little, white label Frank labels on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bottled water. And I just say, please have a bottle of water on me. People would say that's a missed opportunity, because they are expecting to pay $2.50 for a bottle of water that normally outside in the store costs them 40 cents. That's probably where I should be a better business person. And at some point, maybe the Frank water will cost money, but I also don't have a way, because I'm the one person show, I don't have a way to take money at the door. So
Not yet, but you will if you
not
follow my
yet,
business.
but I will. Yeah. I'll use your suggestion. So that's, you think about what is integrity, and maybe I sell the water's free, but I'll sell some other thing that's not water, that, or little trinkets. I was thinking about, my Frank branded, because I have Frank pens, I have Frank hats, I have a Frank jacket, I have Frank t-shirts. And the goal is to build that brand so then I can sell a $30 t-shirt. Right? People are like,
Right.
Frank, because Frank is fun for everyone. I got a Frank hat, I got a Frank shirt, I got, it's the new Adidas, right? Or whatever it is, that everyone, that's their goal. So maybe that's in the future, but it's got to feel right, right? It's
Yeah.
got to feel right to you, and it's got to feel right to me. And what I notice is, depending on your culture, different
Yes.
things feel right. I
Yes.
come from this kind of stoic, Puritan, Midwest Christian, like everything should be free. You should do things for your community for free. And they're all, I come from employees. So it's, people had a job. Someone else figured out how to get the customers. You just
Right.
traded your time for money. That's a very easy trade. Once you try to figure out how to get a product or service, now that's a small business. Now that's entrepreneurship, and you're working 4 times as hard to get the beginning of what you get for just a regular job. But the payoff might be more if you keep working at it, right? That's what small business is. That's what entrepreneurship is. You're looking for those opportunities to, maybe this year you put this much in and it didn't earn you any money, but next year it'll earn you $50,000 because you
Right.
put the work in for free in the first year. So everyone's just kind of looking for what they can sell. And I other storytellers in Los Angeles, I'm jealous because they come. I am a loner. I have been a loner pretty much all my life. I have friends because I'm nice, but I stress people out, or I'm too intense, or I'm not the person they want me to be. So I just kind of always back away. But getting people to shows, come to my show, there's not that much of a commitment.
Right.
Other than the service that I add, where I see other people that will fill out these 1-person shows and they'll get a good showing. And it's because they actually put work into friends and community, which is something I'd never do. I put work into everything else. I put work into the show. I told the audience last night. I said, I don't hang out, because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't make bad choices, arguably bad choices. And unfortunately, that's where you get serious bonds with people making bad choices. You come from the comedian world. I mean, how many have drinking problems? How many
Oh,
have?
okay. Why don't you ask me how many don't? Because I know
Yeah,
that number.
right. Yeah, and that kind of builds camaraderie, and
Yeah, right. I don't get high after the show. I have a I have a family that I want to come home to, and so after the show, I may spend 10 or 15 minutes, but I don't have like an hour to be gabbing and talking about the other shows of especially since a lot of them are just talking about open mics or whatever they've done, or even just talking about other comedians. Hi, I'm GD Fenderson, Certified Forensic Humourist and host of Done Way Past Funny. Thank you for watching our continuing interview with comedian adjacent Glen Dunzweiler. And please come back to join us and watch more of our interview with Glen Dunzweiler. And when you come back, bring a friend.